we're going on a river cruise now. I'm just trying not to drop the phone. So I'm using the using back to the phone again till we get on the boat, and then I'll be back on the GoPro. But yeah, so we're going on the river cruise now, which I'm looking forward to because I like boats.
Yeah, it'll be lovely. I'm
Love
looking
boats.
forward to it.
Going
As
on
it
the
gets a bit dark, all the lights
coming on. They're coming on now. So
yeah.
we deliberately chose a sort of later boat. Anyway, we'll show you much more on the boat.
Oh, I can't get over how beautiful Big Ben is.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? We'll show you that as well.
Oh yeah,
Right.
it's absolutely stunning.
Right. Okay. Right. Back presently. It's cold.
Oh, we're on, are we?
We are. Sorry.
You don't even tell me, do
I
you?
do apologise. So we're on the. I haven't got a clue what the name of the boat is. Anyway, we're on the boat.
It's called the Super Bonita, I think.
Wow. I didn't even notice.
Oh.
So we're on the river cruise. I'm really looking forward to this because I love boats. But look behind us.
We've been on that.
It's the London Eye. We've been on that. That was brilliant. And then just to, if I just turn the camera around, that is County Hall. The old GLC building.
Bad place to work.
Yeah, it's now anything but government buildings. But yeah. So we are due to depart here at 14:45.
Yep.
Yeah, so 14:45, and we'll show you.
Big chain over there for then. What would that be?
That would have been to tie up boats with.
Oh, there's one just here.
Yeah, there's one there.
Oh, look at all of that.
So
That itchy nose. These things make your noses.
they do. So on the boat cruise, we'll take some footage and we'll show you what it's like. Back presently. Well, there he is again, but this time we're a little bit closer.
We're stalking Father Christmas.
We're stalking Father Christmas. Father Christmas.
Merry Christmas! Hello.
Santa's here.
Green signs. All exits are clearly marked. From the lower saloon, there are doors at both sides of the vessel.
We're departing.
You can exit through the sliding windows. The upper deck is easily accessible by steps either side of the lock. In the unlikely event of an emergency, the captain will give you full instructions. For your own safety, and in particular for any young children on board, please remain seated as much as possible.
Hello everyone, welcome on board. My name's Rosie, I'm your tour guide for the next 40-45 minutes or so. We'll see how we go. I'm going to tell you some stories, tell you some really bad jokes. Feel free not to laugh. Nobody else for the rest of the day. Welcome to my world. So I'm Rosie. Let me introduce you to other people on board as well. Most important people are in the wheelhouse just behind you there. So you've got gorgeous George at the wheel and Dave behind him. They really need to be able to see the river at all times. So for that reason, please do stay in your seats. No popping up to take photos, no wandering around because they need a good clear view. That's our most important rule on the river. I'm not going to stand here because I'll be blocking their view. I'll also be blocking your view. And I know that you don't just want a whole load of photos of me going in your photo album. You want to see the sights. I'm actually probably going to go downstairs for a while because it's cold and frankly I've seen this before. If you get cold and you want to come downstairs, that's absolutely fine. Just head on down. Much warmer down there. We've also got toilets on board the boat, so they're downstairs and at the back. So if you need the loo, feel free. But other than that, please stay in your seats. Right, let's get going. Feel free to wave at people on bridges, by the way. Oh! When you're on a boat, it's about the only time you get a wave back and not another hand instead.
So I'm not going to say a lot throughout this video. I'm just going to let the commentary take its own course, and we'll go from there.
So that's where our politicians work, and I am of course using the word work in the loosest possible sense. There's nobody over there at the moment, of course. It's a weekend. All the politicians are at home in their second home in the country, recovering from a hangover from having that important office meeting last night. But let's not turn this into a huge political rant, no matter how tempting that might be. I'm only going to say one more thing on politics, and that's that poly means many, and that ticks are horrible little blood-sucking creatures. As far as I'm concerned, that says it all. Oh, the police are giving us a wave. That's friendly of them. So we've got some armed police over there on the right. They are there to shoot us if we go too close. But generally, all the boats, we know the rules. And actually they just spend most of the day waving it towards. They're very nice guys. So the Houses of Parliament is not as old as it looks. We've had a palace on this site since the times of King Canute, so about 1,000 years now. But we do have this really silly habit in London of burning down our most important buildings. We've done it several times to the Palace of Westminster. The last time was in 1834. We still have the arrest records for one man. He was arrested for excessive cheering as he watched Parliament burn. We rebuilt in the 1840s and 50s, so this is our Victorian rebuild that we've got here in London today. Designed in this neo-Gothic style to match the true Gothic of Westminster Abbey across the square, so the two are designed to match. There are three towers on the Houses of Parliament. The tallest tower with the flag on top is called the Victoria Tower, and that's home to our parliamentary archives. So we've got the originals of every law we've ever written inside that building, also some other very important documents. Things like the death warrant of King Charles I in 1649, or the law that abolished slavery in 1807. The originals are kept in there. We do have it fireproofed, which is good because it means they are protected. The rest of the building is not so lucky. There's 3 sets of wiring in the building. So it's a tinderbox really, ready to go up, but there we go. The most famous tower though, of course, is the one with the clock face. Now I know that some of you think you are looking at Big Ben, but you are not. Big Ben is behind the clock face. It's the name of the bell inside. The tower is just called the Elizabeth Tower. The name Big Ben comes from the Director of Works during the building project for this new version of our Houses of Parliament. His name was Benjamin Hall. He was a very fat chap, very loud, very rude to his workers. And so when they installed a massive 8-foot across, 13.5-ton bell, very Richard Hall, and would have ended up with a much more embarrassing one. Coming up on the right-hand side, let's have a moment of appreciation for my employer. That's right, we've got a lastminute.com and London Eye. Well, observation wheel. This is not a Ferris wheel. My boss gets very upset if I use the F word on this boat. Not a Ferris wheel. It is an observation wheel, meaning the pods remain on the outside for the entire journey around, making sure you get the best views. It's 135 metres high, or roughly the height of 31 red double-decker buses stacked on top of each other, and it goes at blistering speeds of 25 centimetres a second, twice the speed of smoking tortoise. The views from the top are pretty special. Even on a misty day, you'll enjoy looking down on London. Under clear conditions, you might even see all the way to the Windsor Castle. So it really is quite the experience. I'm sure many of you will be going on later today if you haven't been already. Since they started running the London Eye 21 years ago, we have had 14,000 wedding proposals on the eye and 13 rejections. It takes 30 minutes to go around. Thinking about, isn't it? Having most of it, so we are coming up to the Hungerford Railway Bridge, and at the left-hand end of the bridge we've got Charing Cross Station. It was designed to look like a steam train coming out of a tunnel with the little smoke all around it. And you can see that. Congratulations. All I see is a jukebox. very favourite news broadcast. That building on the 6th of April, 1930. If you're thinking to yourself, I can't think of anything important that happened on the 6th of April, 1930, then actually you'd be completely right. Nothing happened at all. So the broadcaster came on, he said, "Good evening, welcome to the 6 o'clock news. There is no news today." And that was it, they played piano music instead. I think that's brilliant. And this bridge that we're coming up against, it is the only bridge in London's history to have been completed both on time and under budget. So good luck, ladies. I've also heard the call it the Ladies' Bridge because it's the longest one to span the River Thames on the bend of the river, and that means it goes over the right-hand side behind the trees, there's a squat white building with a lot of glass. That's the old ITV London studios. So that's the building where they broadcast the Millennium show from. It used to be the backdrop of this morning, which was filmed in the left-hand end of that building. You can see those massive square windows. That was us on the backdrop behind Phil and Fern every day broadcast today. They're not doing this anymore. They shut it down 2 years ago so they can do some they're green screening it right now, which is a bit of a shame if you enjoy being a TV star, but you know, things change. They've also recorded many other things there. Lots of the panel shows, QI, Have I Got News For You, Anti-Death Saturday Night Takeaway was filmed over there. Loose Women was broadcasting there every day, so yeah, quite a lot of things really. So let's talk about one of the new additions to London's skyline. It's coming up on the right-hand side. It's the big glass building with the triangular roof and the big bump coming out the right-hand side of it. That building is one by Friars. It's an apartment block. But because it's quite new, it was only completed in 2018, we've not actually settled on a nickname for the building yet. There's been a few suggestions. The cocktail shaker, the bars, the boomerang, the baby bump, and my personal favourite, the Kim Kardashian. I hope it's that one that sticks. But it's a beautiful looking building. It's full of very expensive apartments. I recently had a look on Zoopla to find out how much they're currently going for, and I found a 4-bedroom apartment for sale in that building for a whopping £9.5 million. Ironically, that building only got planning permission with a short term for affordable in the area. Their idea of affordable is a little bit different to mine.
You won't stay up. You won't stay up.
This is the 5th edition of St Paul's Cathedral. The last one burned down in the Great Fire of London in 1666. This version was designed by Sir Christopher Wren, and he designed the churches around the square of London. He was a very, very clever architect. He's actually buried inside his own cathedral. The words on his tomb simply say, "Reader, if you seek his memorial, look around you." I think that's kind of nice. He originally wanted to top that dome with a 60-foot high glittering golden pineapple, which sounds utterly ridiculous in today's world, but back then in the 1700s, pineapples were seen as a symbol of wealth. Instead, he went for a big golden cross, and he made it 365 feet high. That's 1 foot for every day of the year, to remind us that religion's life and life. That building is the Globe Theatre. The original Globe was built by William Shakespeare himself. He owned an eighth of that first Globe Theatre. It only lasted 14 years. It burned down in 1630 with the performance of Henry VIII. Our current rebuild of the Globe Theatre opened in 1997, so it's actually older than the original ever lasted till. And it was built using entirely Elizabethan building held together with wooden pegs. And they didn't use any power tools. Everything is hand cut and hand carved. Very, very authentic. It's not exactly in the same position as the original boat. In fact, as we come under this bridge, going on the right, it says F on the boat. That's where the road is. But that's quite enough culture for now. Let's move on to every Londoner's favourite hobby. There on the right with the red windows, we've got a lovely Riverside pub. This is called the Anchor, and this pub has been here since 1620, so for a very, very long time. Long been known as a hive of villainy, somewhere that smugglers and pirates would like to hang out. And talking of pirates, coming up on the right-hand side, the earlier pirate ship. This is a reconstruction of the golden hive that was sailed around the world by Sir Francis Drake back in 1577. This reconstruction has actually done that journey to Greece in homage to the original golden hind, and it's currently open for sightseeing, so you can go inside and have a look around, see how crafty the ship is, considering that the crane hired by Sir Francis Drake is beautiful men crammed onto that tiny, tiny ship. If you work with, say, school groups or brownies or scouts or anything like that, they also rent it out for sleepovers, which I think is a genius idea, and I'm just gutted that I'm too old and I'm not able to do this. We are coming underneath London Bridge.
Is it my 5-year-old?
London Bridge. The clue in the name, of course, Tower Bridge is the one with the towers. If you've been confused as to which bridge is which, then it's not your fault. It is the fault of Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas. 10 years ago, she did a solo single called London Bridge. In the music video, she filmed herself twerking on Tower Bridge. And since then, everyone seems to get it wrong. In fact, if you look on Google Images for London Bridge, the first thing you see a picture of is Tower Bridge. So if you've been confused between the two, then it's not your fault, it's Fergie.
That's not, yeah, my 5-year-old.
Before we get to the bridge though, I want to tell you about this lovely grey warship coming up on the right hand side. Admittedly, you might not have noticed it because it is painted in its North Atlantic camouflage colours, but this is HMS Belfast. Belfast first saw action during the D-Day landings in World War II. It was the very first time they fired all of those guns on the front of the ship at the same time. What they hadn't accounted for was the kickback a gun that size could give, let alone 6 of them at once. He set it up to back from the hull of the ship, which cracked every single toilet. The ship was sold to the Royal Navy in 1970. They put it up for sale at an auction. There was only one bidder, the Imperial War Museum, bought the ship for just £1. What a bargain. It's now an open access museum, so you can go all over the ship and learn about life in the Navy. Now on the right hand side there is a round glass building that we sometimes call the Stack of Pancakes, the Beehive, or sometimes Darth Vader's helmet. That building is actually City Hall, is where the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, works from, where he decides how much we need to pay for the bus fares. So I am just going to remind you, do please stay in your seats. You will all get a great view. Now I've got a challenge for you. It is a lucky omen if you can get a wave from someone on this bridge as you go underneath. So feel free to shout and holler and scream. Get one of these guys photographed. Yes, there we go. Hi. Hello. It's a Victorian tradition that sailors would come underneath this bridge, the last one they passed through on their way out of town, and if their loved ones came to wave them off at the last possible point, it was seen as a lucky omen for the entire ship. So there we go, we have all just got ourselves 5 years of good luck. So feel free to go out and buy yourselves a lottery ticket. I only ask for 10%. It's worth a try. So we're going to turn around now and start making our way back through. We will be going a bit slower on the way back through, so I'll have a bit more time to tell you some stories as we go. First story I want to tell you about this bridge though. 1952, we had a guy called Albert Gunter driving across the bridge in a red double-decker London bus, and he suddenly realised the bridge was beginning to open beneath his wheels. He had a split second to make his choice. Should he slam his foot on the brake or should he just go for it? Well, he was a brave man. He went for it, full pelt to the middle of the bridge. By the time he got there was a 3-foot gap between the two halves of the bridge. He managed to jump a 3-foot gap in a red double-decker London bus. He landed safely on the other side to tremendous applause from everyone on board. He saved all of their lives and was given a Medal of Honour from the Queen for his bravery. He was also given a £10 bonus from his boss and a slap round the back of the head from his wife. Nowadays this bridge is open as a museum, so you can go inside the towers, see the mechanism that allows the bridge to open up, and walk across the walkways up at the top. Now if you look at those walkways, you can see there's glass panelling on the floor, so you can actually see down to the road and the river below. Word of warning for you, if you're planning on walking across that walkway, do not wear a skirt. Yeah, we have seen some sights on this boat. Oh no, she's waving at us from this side. That's 10 years of bad luck. What are you doing, guys? Over on the right-hand side, one of the most important and oldest buildings in London, we have of course got the Tower of London there. The original part of the tower is the square bit in the middle with the 4 weather vanes on top. That was built by William the Conqueror shortly after he invaded in 1066. The Tower of London is home to the ravens. Legend says if the ravens should ever fly away, the tower will crumble and London will fall. We don't want that to happen, so we've clipped their wings. But don't worry, they are very, very well looked after in the tower itself. They're looked after by a man with the best job title in London. He is called the Yeoman Raven Master. He's one of the Yeoman Warders, or Beefeaters, as we tend to nickname them. The main job for the Beefeaters is to look after the crown jewels and give tours to tourists. If you've never done it, it's really good fun. I can highly recommend it. Now, the Tower of London was the original London Zoo. It wasn't something we ever planned, it was something that just happened when we were given a gift from a foreign king who came to visit London. He brought with him an elephant back in the 1200s. And we had no idea what to do with an elephant. We'd never seen one before. So we built a giant stable like it was a big horse. Pretty quickly the elephant started to look grumpy, so we thought we'd cheer it up by feeding it a barrel of wine every day. I don't know, it worked for me, but didn't work for the elephant, so it was a short life for that poor beast. But it wasn't the only elephant at the tower. We had many elephants over the years, all of them gifts from visiting dignitaries. We also had a polar bear that would come and swim on the river and catch his own fish, with crowds on the banks watching. We had lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! The lions, we couldn't really afford to keep them. We couldn't afford enough meats for them. So if you came to visit the lions and didn't have money to pay for your entrance fee, you could just pick up a stray dog or cat off the streets of London on your way down, use that to pay for your entry, and we'd feed it straight to the lions. I am really glad that we have moved on from those days. It was the Duke of Wellington, the Duke of Boots, who decided to move the animals. He was based in the Tower of London with his time in the military, and he complained to Queen Victoria, and he said these beasts are smelly and noisy and they do not belong on a military base. He suggested Regent's Park, so she set aside a corner of Regent's Park, and that became the very start of London Zoo. Thankfully the animals in London Zoo are much better looked after nowadays. The sandy coloured building with all the arches over on the right hand side, that's the old site of Billingsgate Fish Market. They used to say you were only really a true Cockney if you'd worked in there. That's where the Cray twins worked when they were teenagers. Michael Caine worked there as a young man as well. Nowadays the fish market has moved out to East London, and this has become an exhibition space. There's quite a lot of posh parties and art exhibitions that happen in there, so it's changed a lot since it was new. Let's talk about the Shard there on the left hand side. The Shard disappearing up into the clouds. It's 310 metres high, which is as tall as aviation laws will allow in this country. We are still quite close to City Airport here. It's the tallest building in Western Europe. Got to go all the way to Moscow to find something taller. It was designed by a man called Renzo Piano. Renzo Piano was very clever. When he was in a debate with the construction company over how much they had to pay him for his design, they weren't offering enough money. So eventually he said, you know what? You take my design and you build it. Don't pay me anything. But once you've finished the building work, I want to keep one of the penthouse suites apartments. They agreed to his terms. He built 2 penthouse suites right up at the top. The other one sold for £50 million. That is quite the payday. It's also quite the price tag on a flat that you can't even open the windows. Bet that was a fun lockdown. So coming back underneath London Bridge now. The first bridge on the site was built on the Romans about 2,000 years ago. It was a bridge. So our first stone bridge was in 1200s, and that first stone bridge was huge. It had 200 shops on board. It had a church in the middle. It had people living on the bridge. And it also had London's first public toilets. And when I say public, I mean public. It was basically a bench with some holes cut into it. No cubicles, no privacy, and everything just dropped straight through the holes into the river below. Not pleasant at all. Speaking of not pleasant, over on the left, 2 grey buildings over there where it says Winchester Wharves. That's the site of an old prison called the Clink. The Clink got its name from the clinking sound of hammering closed shackles around your wrists and ankles, but it was so notorious for poor treatment of prisoners that it gave its name to every other prison around the world. They're all nicknamed the Clink. This was the original one. It was the kind of place you had to give a backhander to your jailer if you didn't want to be in a basement cell, because the basement cells flooded whenever the tide came in, so it was pretty nasty. And it was a debtor's prison, so you'd be sent to this prison if you hadn't paid your taxes correctly. So I do find it kind of ironic that today, in 2021, that building is home to a Starbucks. Talk about not paying your taxes. This was time to win the award for the ugliest bridge in London. This is Cannon Street Railway Bridge. On the right-hand side, you can see a big barge there. This is Walbrook Wharf. So this is one of the few still active wharfs in London. We have about 8,000 people living in the city of London, and pre-COVID we had around 300,000 coming into the city to work every day. This is where all the rubbish collection comes to. So this is it's basically the city dump. I take you to the nicest places, don't I? It is kind of interesting that it still goes out by boat instead of going by road nowadays, though. We're coming up to Southwark Bridge. This is the prettiest bridge. This was a stand-in for London Bridge when they were filming Mary Poppins, and it's the last bridge in London to still be lit by gaslights. Very romantic place to take a stroll of an evening. Side, there is a building with a very tall brown brick chimney. That's the Tate's Modern Art Gallery. I'm going to tell you about the Tate Modern in a moment. First I want to talk about the bridge that runs from the Tate Modern across the river to St Paul's Cathedral. So in the lead up to the Millennium, we had a competition to design a new landmark for London. The London Eye was part of that competition. It came second and had to be privately funded. It didn't win the public funding. This bridge was the winner. So this bridge is officially named the Millennium Bridge, but nobody actually calls it that. We call it the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. We had a big unveiling ceremony in June 2000, and then for the next 2 days, about 20,000 people walked across this bridge, but it wasn't a comfortable experience. By the time you got to the middle of the bridge, it was shaking side to side by up to 7 inches. People were falling over and hurting themselves. People were turning green and puking off the side of the bridge onto the boats passing by underneath. It was revolting. So after just 2 days, they said for public safety, they had to close the bridge. They called in the architect. His name is Sir Norman Foster. Now, he's a northerner. He famously doesn't like London as much. We put him on live television to talk about this issue, and we said, "Hey, Sir Norman, what's wrong with your bridge?" And he said, "How dare you? Nothing wrong with my bridge. It's the way you Londoners walk." Threw it straight back at us, accused us of marching. I mean, he might have had a point, to be fair. We had to fix the bridge. It took longer to fix than it had to build in the first place. We ended up having to ask NASA for a bit of help. So let's talk about the Tate Modern. The Tate Modern is the only building in London to have been opened twice by Her Majesty the Queen. First time it was 1952. She was only Princess Elizabeth when she opened the backside power station, but she returned in the year 2000 and reopened the same building, this time as the Tate Modern Art Gallery. It's the busiest and largest modern art gallery anywhere in the world. Pre-COVID, we were seeing around 6 million visitors a year, and it's free to go in. If you're not sure if you like modern art, it's free to find out, and if all else fails, they've got an award-winning cocktail bar on the top floor, so that'll cheer you up immensely if it turns out you don't like modern art. This next bridge, this is Blackfriars train station within the bridge. If you look to the right-hand end of it, you can just about see the top of a very tall spire on a church. That church is St Bride's Church. St Bride or St Bridget was an Irish saint who could turn water into wine, so of course they gave her a sainthood. But that church spire, built by Sir Christopher Wren, it inspired a baker called William Rich, who was getting married inside that church in 1702. It inspired him to make a really special wedding cake. He saw the tiers of the spire and he built the very first tiered wedding cake, and of course everyone loved it, they copied it, and now when you see a tiered cake you instantly think wedding, but it all started with William Rich. In the basement of that church they've got a little museum where they've still got the wedding dress that was worn by his bride in 1702. This is Blackfriars 2.5 bridges. One of these railway bridges takes so quickly. You've got these really great columns. Doing absolutely nothing. These used to hold up another railway bridge, the steam train. It was in fact the first railway bridge across the Thames. When we started using diesel trains instead, diesel trains are much heavier, we had to build a stronger bridge. When we then had to take away the old bridge, we realised we put the new one in place. So we can't really recycle the new bridge and go back to the sat there forever. In order to make it look like it on the purpose, we put the practice and the white threads. They're not fooling anyone. If you're wondering what's going on with all the work that we've got, the cranes there on the right hand side, we are building a super sewer, extending the old Victorian sewer system here in London. The new super sewer is huge and it is 48 metres below where we are right now. It's massive, very, very deep, but should at least future-proof London and keep us a bit cleaner. I want to tell you about this building here on the left hand side, the one with the orange and white stripes. So that building used to be a factory where they manufactured stock cubes, bullion cubes, under the brand name of OXO. In the 1930s, they added a tower above their factory, and if you look into the windows, you can see that it spells out a word. It says OXO in the windows of their tower. Well, the problem was, in the 1930s, advertising was completely banned all the way along the Thames, so they weren't allowed to do this. So they were summoned to court to explain their actions, and they claimed that that is not advertising. They even claimed that that is not a word. They simply said, oh no, we chose a random selection of geometric shapes for the windows of our tower, and it is purely a coincidence that it lights up red in the company colours at night and spells out the name of the product we make inside. But no, this is not advertising. Goodness knows how they got away with it. Not a factory anymore, by the way. It's now a lovely little shopping centre with the Harvey Nichols restaurant up at the top. It's a favourite of Sir Alan Sugar's. Over on the right, you've got some trees there. Behind the trees, we've got Temple, which is where the Knights Templar used to be based when they were here in London for about 200 years in the 10 to 1300s. Nowadays, it's home to Middle and Inner Temple, which are two of our training schools for barristers. If you look on the wall, you can see there are big green lions' faces with rings in their mouths. This is where the ships would come and tie up to in the Victorian era. We've kind of got them all the way along, so you'll see some more coming up in a moment as well. This is our flood warning system. So it used to be a big problem with flooding on the River Thames. If the water levels got too high, we needed to get the sandbags out in a hurry. Nowadays we don't need to worry so much because we've got the Thames barrier, which raises if the flood waters are getting too high. But back in the old days we needed a warning system, and we wrote a little poem to remind ourselves of where we need to start worrying. And it's about these lions. We say that when the lions drink, London will sink. And when the lions are ducked, I'm not going to finish that. Let's talk about the water. You might be looking at this water and saying, oh, that looks really dirty. It's got a reputation for being dirty. In 1950, the Thames was declared biologically dead. Nothing could survive in such a polluted river. But actually, we've done a lot of work since then, and it is now the cleanest river in the world. It's really clean, it's just muddy. Good, healthy mud. When the tide comes in and out, which it does constantly, it swirls around the mud, gives it this chocolate brown colour. If you take a pint glass of it and let it settle overnight, you'll see how clean it is. Do not drink it. Yeah, very, very clean. And lots of things now live in the River Thames. They've recently had a count. They've told us we now have 125 different species of fish in this river. We have 2 species of seahorse, which sounds incredibly exotic for London. We've got around 700 seals in central London. Last year we had 168 seal pups born, and we're into pupping season now, so who knows when we'll see some more. We get visits from dolphins and whales. We have 3 species of shark living full-time in the River Thames. The largest is called the Tate shark. We've only just discovered this one. The Tate shark can grow up to 6 feet in length, so absolutely huge. Giving us a nice royal wave there, thank you. On the right there's a black building with green tiles on the roof line. That's the world famous Savoy Hotel, London's first 5-star hotel there. This hotel was opened in 1889. Pretty much every celebrity you've ever heard of has stayed in there. In the early days it would be the likes of Charlie Chaplin, Marilyn Monroe. More recently we've had Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift. Every celebrity that stays in the Savoy stays in the same suite of rooms. They always stay on the 5th floor. The Royal Suite takes up the entire 5th floor. It's huge. It's just had a makeover by fashion house Gucci. Now, if you want to be like these celebrities and stay in that suite, they have a 3-night minimum booking policy. So you have to stay there for at least 3 nights, and it will cost you £17,000 per night. 50 grand for 3 nights in a hotel. It's crazy, isn't it? 3 nights in a hotel or a deposit on a house. It's another world. Comes with some pretty good facilities, mind you. You get your own driver to take you wherever you want to go in London. You have a florist to make sure the flowers in your room are to your taste. But my favourite facility, they give you a therapist. Even the Savoy will admit, if you're going to spend that kind of money on 3 nights in a hotel, you need a therapist. Last opportunity to wave at people on bridges. Yeah, just try this on the tube, whatever you do. Let me tell you about the white building coming up on the right-hand side, the really big one with the sloped green roofs. That building is the Ministry of Defence, the MOD. The Ministry of Defence has a nickname, we call it the Iceberg, and it's not because it's huge and plain and white. It's because, rumour has it, there is more of that building under the ground than what we can see above ground. So we're only looking at the tip of the iceberg. Part of the underground section includes the nuclear bunker, which is big enough for 100 people to survive a nuclear event here in London. There is also a direct tunnel from the Houses of Parliament. So judging by who else is going to be in that bunker, I'd rather not be much. The MOD, the Ministry of Defence, they had a big issue when they saw the plans for the London Eye. They said you cannot build that huge observation wheel directly across the water from offices where we've got all these top secret meetings happening. They were convinced that we were going to have spies going round and round in circles all day long with binoculars and cameras and lasers trying to steal state secrets out of their windows. They were so serious about this issue, they took the London Eye to court to try and stop it being built. Thankfully, this judge had a bit of common sense. He simply said to them, for goodness sake, you're the Ministry of Defence. Defend yourselves. Buy some curtains. We are coming down towards up here, but we do need to get safely tied up before you start moving around the boat. So do stay in your seats for a moment. I will let you know when we are good to let you start moving, but for now, do please just stay in your seats, and I'll let you know when we're good to go. Striky building over there, that is Old Scotland Yard. Next to it, the white building, is New Scotland Yard. So this is the base for our Metropolitan Police Force. In between them, there is a tree with a very large branch sticking off to the left-hand side. That is Special Branch. In reality, between them, you've got a sandy-coloured archway. When we were filming the Harry Potter movies here in London, they chose that for the entrance to the Ministry of Magic. In reality, it's actually the entrance to the stables. So when you see those lovely police horses out and about, that's where they live. Over on the left, you've got County Hall. County Hall used to be a political building, came from the Greater London Council. They were disbanded in 1986, and since then it's become the commercial hub for Merlin. So that's where you've got the Sea Life Aquarium, the London Dungeon, Shrek's Adventure, and of course the ticket office for the London Hyde. If you've not got tickets for the London Eye but fancy going on, head up to that ticket office, take your ticket for the boat with you, and it will get you a discount on the London Eye ticket.
Oh, what did you think of that then?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
That's brilliant, wasn't it?
Just cool.
Yeah, lots of good stories. I'm hoping, because I've had to film all this on the phone as opposed to the camera. So I'm hoping that you got all of that.
Our guide was brilliant.
The guide was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Loads of really interesting, funny stories.
Yeah.
So that's the boat trip done.
No, it was stuff.
And there's the rest of stuff. My hand is freezing because I've had to hold the phone the whole time.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's very, very cold. So anyway, well, that's the boat trip. Now it's time to look around London as it gets dark. Harrods. Right, we'll be back in a minute. I think. Right. We're indoors. We're back at Waterloo Station, and we're going to Harrods.
Platform 3.
Oh, platform 3. We're going to Harrods.
Deliberately waiting.
So, do you want to give everyone a brief update on what's going on?
Well, there's a strike in the London Underground.
Yeah,
So
the London Underground's on strike. Everywhere we want to go.
as we get there, that line's beginning to be suspended. So,
Yeah.
no Piccadilly line now, which is what we needed to get to Harrods. But I haven't been to Fortnum and Masons, so we're changing venue.
Yeah, we're going to Fortnum and Masons, which I think is down here on the right.
But look, we're at the Ritz,
We're at the Ritz.
so which is bloody gorgeous.
Yeah. Right, so we're going to check first, but hopefully we're going to end up at Fortnum and Masons.
All right.
Where are we now?
We're in Fortnum and Masons. I'm having a lovely time, thank you.
Are we spending money?
Well, I just like nice little.
Ah. Oh, look.
Small mortgage has been taken out.
Sorry, say that again.
Small mortgage has been taken out to buy some Christmas biscuits and some lemon curd.
It is ridiculously expensive in there.
It's
but-
more expensive than Harrods. We're routed out.
Yeah.
And it's very bustling.
Yeah.
But everybody's beautiful and polite. No bad-temperedness, and
No.
the staff are dressed absolutely lovely. And look what we've found.
Look, found a Christmas tree.
I love it. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
And a Christmas tree, ironically, outside of a church. It's St James's Church.
It's not open.
It's not open. You're pretty gutted about that because you
Oh,
was.
I wanted to go in there because look.
It just looks amazing, doesn't it? We're going to take a walk down towards Piccadilly, I think, and then we're going to have a walk down Regent Street. For those of you who don't know, do you want to tell everyone what happened the last time we walked down Regent Street about 3 years ago?
There was an accident.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, two young people, very young people, it was the young lady's 18th birthday,
Yeah.
got knocked down by a car going through a red light, and Rich had to run to assist. Well, you've since found out. I mean, she had life-changing injuries.
Yeah.
But she survived, unbelievably she survived, because she was thrown like a rag doll.
And chances are she'll probably actually watch this video because she watches and does everything.
Right.
She
Well,
follows.
if you are watching,
Georgia, if you are watching.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
We are so pleased you're still with us. So, a very unfortunate set of events, but because Rich was on hand, probably helped you recover as well as you have.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go and have a walk down towards Piccadilly.
Okay, we'll do. Oh, it's see you in a minute.
Where did I say I wasn't coming?
Oh, I can't remember, love.
Where are we?
I didn't take any notice of you.
Where are we?
We're in Hamley.
Oh, and outside was a lovely Lamborghini that I was looking at. Yeah, anyway, we're in Hamley. She's got her own way. Always. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Sunday. The whatever it is of December. Anyway,
19th, isn't it?
yeah, 19th. Anyway, we are on our final day of our little getaway break, and we're kind of deciding what to do. Oh look, a balloon. Can never get away from the sodding things.
We won't now, seeing I'll be driving one as well.
Yeah, this is it. You're over the moon about that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we are we're going to take a walk to Harrods with her.
I need to get my chocolate Father Christmas.
So she wants a chocolate Father Christmas. So we are going to walk to Harrods from Paddington. So
Yeah, my Christmas day's been a bit messed up, hasn't it?
yeah,
I'm supposed to be going to my son's, and him and his girlfriend's contracted coronavirus,
yeah.
and so they're both isolating, so I can't go there. Rich is working.
So she can't go there.
My two daughters are going to their in-laws,
So she can't go there.
so
And my son and my mother are going to my ex-wife's. So
yeah.
whoa, there you go.
So I'm looking for a venue, aren't I?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
So well, I'm still going to put my chocolate Father Christmas on there.
On the chocolate Father Christmas tree.
Yeah, on the side is my tradition, so I'm not going to let COVID stop me doing anything that I normally do.
Yeah.
So we're going to have our Christmas on the 27th, aren't we?
We are. So it's all right. It wasn't busy, and now it is. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go to Harrods. We'll see you when we get there, I think.
Okay.
Right. So we're in Hyde Park, and
It's full of people.
it is full of people.
And little dogs.
Full of people and sausage dogs, isn't it?
Oh, it must have been... we've seen at least 15 sausage dogs since we got here.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and they've all got their little coats on.
I was just saying to Lisa that when I joined the police force, the one thing I wanted to do was join Royal Parks Constabulary, which was Dead Man's Shoes. Unfortunately, it got amalgamated, so I couldn't join it. So the next thing I wanted to join was Thames Division, and that you have to be even deader to. You have to be even deader to get on Thames Division. But there you go. Look at that. Bloody gorgeous.
I mean, this is lovely. Right, this one's in London.
Well, it is. This is it's a very affluent area of London.
I know, but people realised, planning, that people needed green space. Even in the most built-up areas, people need somewhere where they can walk,
Yeah.
ramble,
Yeah.
and relax. So,
and we're preambling now. Anyway, we are heading towards Harrods, as we said. So might do a bit more filming, might not. We'll let you know. Back in the room.
Oh, we've come through the park.
Yeah.
And the Albert Hall's just over there. And this is the monument that Queen Victoria had for when to remember Albert by. Which I've not seen it from this side. When you're outside the Albert Hall, it doesn't look this big.
Massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very big.
Absolutely massive. We were just saying last night while we were walking back. It wasn't last night, it was the night before, wasn't it?
I don't know what you're going to say.
Aston Martin.
Oh yeah, we've just seen one.
Yeah, and you're very consistent because you like the colour and the same model.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't want much.
Well, you know, Christmas next week. Never know.
And we're on. Well, we did go to Harrods, but we didn't film because they don't like you getting the camera out in Harrods. And then we walked back, picked up our luggage and went out to the station, and we're just we're on the train.
They didn't have a chocolate Father Christmas, did they?
They didn't have a chocolate Father
They had
Christmas.
something called a chocolate claws, and it looked like Dumbledore, basically. Not Father Christmas, not for me anyway. I didn't like it. So we bought lots of other stuff.
We've got loads of goodies above us. Loads of goodies. So, what to say?
Oh, we're on the way back home.
Yeah.
We work tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
Both of us work next 3 days.
Yeah.
And then Monday into Christmas.
Yeah. Well, of which I'm working. So, anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, give it the...
Give it a little thumb. Don't have enough thumb, look small. I better bigger.
Yeah, if you don't already.
Subscribe.
And then...
Start up with this fringe.
And...
Oh, we're moving. And ring the bell for notifications.
Excellent.
We're on our way.
Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.